Hey, I'm Courtney Waterman, your tutor. Lover of anime, manga, and math. And you just tuned into another session of Tutor Me Sempai. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping into a 9th grade topic, no solutions and infinite solutions. Now if you're new to my channel, I'll be putting timecodes in for this video in the description box below, so you can skip ahead to whatever part of the video you think is most interesting. As always, if you have any questions about what we see today or even on homework, you can always put in the comment box below or visit my Facebook page at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. At the end of this video, I'll be linking my 9th grade playlist, so if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around and check it out. This video is going to have 3 parts, so leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and let's get started. When attempting to solve a system of linear equations with 2 variables, let's say x, y, your overall goal is to find an x and y that when plugged into both of these at the same time, work. If you can find an x and y that satisfies both of these, you can say you've solved your system of equations. However, you may not always be able to find x and y that will work for both of these at the same time. In those situations, you'll find that you have no solution. That means that if you have an x, you can't find a y that when plugged into both of these systems of equations will make both of them true at the same time. You may find something that works for this one, but the same pair won't work for the second one. This means you have no solutions for this system of equations. There may be other times when you find that you have way more than just one solution. You will have infinite solutions that work. That means that if you have an x, you can always find a y. It doesn't matter what x you plug in. You will always find a y that works for both. And this is going to be determined by how the outcome looks. Now, obviously, when you find just one x and y, this will be your outcome. Very obvious. You're used to seeing this. In fact, it doesn't really matter how you solve your system of equations, whether you do elimination or substitution, this will probably be your end result, your answer. And if you need a refresher on how to solve by either elimination or by substitution, no worries, I have videos on those subjects. You can find them right up here. But the outcome is going to determine what you have. 1x and 1y, you're going to write it this way. However, if you have no solution, you will find that your outcome looks a little like this. Now, this is just going to be an example. Not all of your outcomes will look like this one. This is an example to showcase it. Let's say we'll have something like this. 2 equals 3. Now, does 2 equal 3? No, 2 doesn't equal 3. This lets us know that we have an impossibility. That means it doesn't really matter what x or y you have here, you're not going to be able to find your matching pair. This is no solution. It won't work. When you go to solve it by either elimination or by substitution, you'll get some sort of impossibility, which you can then say you have no solution. On the opposite side, when you get a result that looks like this lets you know that you have infinite solutions. This means that pretty much every x will have a y that will work. Every variable would work. It doesn't really depend on your variables. In one case, you have an impossibility. In the other case, you have infinite possibilities. So these are going to be the 3 possible outcomes that you'll face when you're trying to solve your system of linear equations. And since today we're going to be covering no solutions and infinite solutions, let's jump into our next part of the video, which will find our no solution outcome. Let's say we have this system of linear equations. We have a 3x plus 5y equals 1, and we have a negative 6x minus 10y equals 14. And we want to see what the x and y value should be that satisfies both of these. Now, we already know this is going to be no solution, but assuming you didn't know that, you can try to solve this either by substitution or by elimination. I'm going to do substitution. You do whatever you feel most comfortable with. So I'll start with the first one, and I'm going to get x by itself. So by getting x by itself, I'm going to have 1 minus 5y over 3. And I'm going to plug this into our second equation, which means that instead of negative 6x, I'm going to have negative 6 times this, which is 1 minus 5y over 3. Then I'm going to continue this with minus 10y equals 14. Now, I'm going to simplify that. That's going to be a negative 2 times 1 minus 5y minus 10y equals 14. I'm going to distribute the negative 2, so we're going to have negative 2 minus or plus 10y minus 10y equals 14. Distribute the negative 2, so make sure you're flipping your signs as needed. That's negative 2 times positive 1, negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 5 plus 10. Now, we're combining like terms. These cancel out. And you're left with negative 2 equals 14. Remember, when you have no solutions, you're going to be met with an impossibility. Does negative 2 equal 14? No. That means you're not going to be able to find any x and y's that when you pair them, you're going to be able to solve both of these at the same time. This is a no solution outcome, our no solution result. Now that we've seen our no solution, let's jump into our infinite solutions. Now we have a new system of linear equations. Our first one is 7x plus 3y equals 0, and our second one is 14x plus 6y equals 0. And we want to see if we can solve this. We know we're not going to be able to because we have infinite solutions up here, but let's say we didn't know that. You're going to try to solve this either by elimination or by substitution. This time I'll do elimination. You can do whatever one you feel most comfortable with. So I'm going to try to figure out which variable I want to eliminate, the x or the y. And this time I want to eliminate the y. So what do I multiply our top one by to eliminate our y? Well, I'll multiply this by a negative 2, because if I multiply by negative 2 and combine them, that should get rid of my y. So I will have a negative 14x minus a 6y equals 0, and just rewrite this as 14x plus 6y equals 0. Now it's still 0 because negative 2 times 0 is going to be 0. Now I combine these. I combine them. So when I combine them, what happens with my x? Well, negative 14x plus a 14x gives me a 0x. What happens to my y? Well, we wanted that to go away anyway, so that's why we chose our negative 2. So this is once again plus 0y. So this is just 0 equals 0. Now, is this true? Yes. In fact, this is always true. It doesn't really matter what your x and y are. This is always going to be true. This lets you know that you have infinite solutions. Our 0 equals 0 is always going to be true. And it kind of makes sense if you look at this system of linear equations here. Our second equation is pretty much just a multiple of our first one. So every xy pair that works for this will work for this. But there's going to be more than one xy pair that can work for this. This is pretty much the same exact equation. So there's pretty much just one equation here with two variables. You'll find an infinite number of solutions, infinite pairs that'll work for this, and this is no different from that one. So when you have this 0 equals 0, you're going to have infinite solutions. So I hope you were able to follow along with today's video, and I hope you now understand how you can identify when you have no solutions and when you would have infinite solutions. However, if you have any questions about what we saw today, or even your own homework, feel free to put it in the comment box below, or visit my Facebook page at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. If you hadn't done so already, hit that like. It surely helps the channel by letting YouTube know that you found the video helpful. And if you found the video helpful, so can someone else. So leave a like, hit the notification bell, smash the subscribe button, and share the video with a friend. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I'm really hoping this helped with your homework. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Courtney. Here's your playlist, and it's been another session of Tutor Me Sempai.